If this is your first time seeing or hearing about my YouTube channel, know that I expose the biased gaming media that is, very easygoing on Sony. I highlight the stories that they don't want to highlight. I bring about the articles that they, don't want to have the discourse with. So once you start this, always remember,
son, once you start, there's no going back.
yes, there's no turning back once you start to see all of the lies and all of the false narratives being broken up watching this channel. Yes, not too long ago I would have pointed out how, these ponies are lying. They paint a pretty picture about Sony, but they fail to, talk about or discuss anything that is bad about Sony. I mean, when it is we spoke about the 9 games as a service that was cancelled, I mean, you should have seen these ponies. Yes, these ponies had their panties all up in a bunch when all of this bad news came flooded about the PlayStation community. I mean, it was wild on these Twitter streets, Ben. But today we are keeping within that theme. We are going to see how these ponies reacted with all these bad press surrounding Sony. We will see some of them cope. We will see some of them come to realization. We will even see Nintendo fans understanding the tax that is on Xbox, because right now they are getting a tax as well. We will expose the industry and these ponies to tell you guys exactly who they are. So you know what? Let's get it.
This is a sickness!
Let's get it. So if you want me to continue making this type of content, guys, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. Of course, we discipline these ponies because they are too arrogant. And of course, we give you Xbox news, we give you some Nintendo news, and of course, we specialize in the Sony Pony Soul. So if this type of content interests you, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button today. Now let's get back to the video. Now I've made multiple videos exposing the PlayStation 5 Pro as being a glorified PlayStation 5 just repackaged to be a PlayStation 5 Pro. We would have seen where it is, the Xbox Series X would have beaten the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, if this is a Pro console, that should never happen in no video game. It should always be beating the Xbox Series X. And I mean, we are not seeing that in every instance, which is very telling of the type of console the PlayStation 5 Pro is. Now, I've been saying this since the launch of the PlayStation 5 Pro. A $800 console should give you better performance in every aspect when compared to the Xbox Series X. But yet again, we have more evidence that Sony bamboozled, they lied, and they tricked these ponies to buying, the PlayStation 5 Pro. Look at this video at how the Xbox Series X is superior to the PlayStation 5 Pro.
So that the PS5 Pro and the Xbox Series X has different HDMI 2.1 bandwidth. This is a TV that can report the HDMI bandwidth of any video source. You can see that the PS5 Pro has an HDMI 2.1 bandwidth of 32 gigabits per second. But if we switch to the Xbox Series X and summon the game bar again, you can see that the Xbox Series X has an HDMI 2.1 bandwidth of 40 gigabits per second. 32 is less than 40, which means that the PS5 Pro has worse HDMI 2.1 bandwidth than the Xbox Series X. Follow for more console tips.
Wow, now we could understand why Phil Spencer said no mid-generation console needed, because the Xbox Series X is already ahead of itself. Next up, let's look at a Nintendo fan realizing that the Xbox tax was real. that the gaming media prefer, PlayStation compared to other platforms. Listen to this Nintendo fan as he comes to this realization.
Is having when it comes to devaluing Nintendo products, nobody listens to or respects gaming journalists anymore. So when they come out and give Donkey Kong Country Returns for being a port of an old game while giving The Last of Us Part 2 remastered high scores, people point that out. People address the double standard. People begin to notice, and when people start noticing, it leads to the situation in which people are starting to ask questions. Why exactly is there a score discrepancy between PlayStation exclusives and Nintendo ones? And more people are beginning to realize that the Nintendo games are just better, regardless of what the game journals say, regardless of what the Game Awards say, regardless of what the industry as a whole says.
So yes, if you didn't know, some of the gaming journalists like IGN, GameSpot, and so on, they would have given a remake or a remaster like Last of Us very high scores because it's a remake. But when games like Donkey Kong Country came out, they gave that significantly lower score, proving that there is a tax, especially when it comes to Xbox. Now Nintendo guys are feeling it, and they will continue to tax in behalf of Sony. When Sony games come out, despite the technical troubles that these games may have, they still score well. For example, Spider-Man 2 had a lot of bugs that still scored well. I mean, the amount of hypocrisy in the gaming journalist circle is so noticeable that even Nintendo fans are noticing it today. Wow. Next up, let's talk about the changing of the guards. Let's talk about the FTC. You see, since Donald Trump would have won the US election, we are seeing a changing of hands when it comes to the FTC. Now, we remember the FTC, Lena Khan. She was one of the opposers of the Activision Blizzard deals. Yes, Lena Khan didn't wanted these games to come to Game Pass. She would have used all these pony arguments because ponies were messaging her to say that they would keep games off of PlayStation, not knowing that Microsoft wanted to charge these ponies full price for all these games. Yes, $69.99. Let me get some $69.99 in the chat. So yeah, Lena Kong was one of the opposers of those of the deal, the merger. Well, it just so happened that she is out of there.
Hi everybody. After 3.5 years of serving as chair of the Federal Trade Commission, my time leading the agency is coming to an end. From the moment that we walked through the doors, we have fought tirelessly to use every tool we have to take on illegal business practices and protect the American people. I just want to say a deep thank you to the tens of thousands of people across the country who have reached out to us to share your stories, tell us what you're seeing, and really help improve our work. Whether you were submitting a comment about your experience with a non-compete clause, coming to one of our open meetings to tell us about junk fees, or coming to one of the many listening sessions we had around the country to talk about right to repair or a merger you were worried about, your perspectives really mattered and directly help improve our work. So thank you so much for believing that the FTC and the government can make a difference and for helping me make the most of the opportunity I've had to humbly serve you.
Acceptable condition! Unacceptable!
These ponies are mad all the time. Now let's look at some ponies react to all these bad news. We are talking about the closing of all these live service games. Sony is not looking good when it comes to first party output. Let's listen to some of the banter that the PlayStation community is finally having. I mean, some of these ponies are actually speaking up against Sony. Listen.
And for PlayStation not to try their attempts to get into a live service and get that money, like how a Fortnite or whatever game that's popular is idiotic in my opinion. But 12 is a little excessive, like we've been saying for the longest.
Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now.
Really?
But I'm not going to put all the blame on Jim Ryan, bro. I'm not going to put all the blame on Jim Ryan. I got to put the blame on Herman Hulse, and I got to put the blame on first party studios as well. The execution is not there. Look at all these games listed, bro. It's one thing that, a boss can tell you, hey, we need this. But if you can't do this, what the boss is telling you what to do, who's that on?
Yeah, but I'm not going to blame all of the studios because, like I said, these studios are not equipped.
I'm blaming them.
These studios,
if they're not equipped, that's a problem.
Yeah! They squabbling out there now. Yeah!
That's a problem if they're not equipped. That's a problem.
No, that is a problem. I agree with you. But what I'm saying is these studios are not equipped to do live service games. They're not equipped to do that.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But if the boss up top says, do this, they're going to try to do it to the best of their abilities. But if they fail, the failure, in my opinion, falls within at the top, because at the top should realize and understand all of these studios attempting such an ambitious thing like this all at once is not the best approach, because they all do not have the expertise to do this. You can hire whoever you want to come in and teach and guide and all these other different things, but that does not mean that it's all that they would still be successful in creating that, which is why we're seeing a fallout that we're seeing now with these games being canceled the way they are. Because one, again, making a single player game or a single player experience is very different from making a live service game that has monetization, replayability, and all these other different things to keep a player coming back and keep recurring revenue. That is a very different beast to go after and do. And in a market that's so volatile already within the game industry, and then you move into the games as a service, live service market, and you see how volatile that is already, to expect a studio that notoriously makes single player experiences to go into a venture like that and be successful is foolish. And hold on. So for Herman Hulse being the head of all of these studios, not saying, hey, pluck one or two to say, yo, attempt this, let's see how it goes and go from there, but to have this many studios doing this, that is very, 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 that wasn't the smartest decision. And we're seeing the fallout.
I am not,
and that's why I'm blaming at the top and not the studios themselves.
I am not disagreeing with not blaming the top, but I call it blaming the studios. I don't care who you are. Pack that's code up about, oh, the studio's not equipped for this. Get that up out of here. I'm sorry, bro.
Look at us. Hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
I'm sorry, because you wasn't saying, I know there's a difference between a live service and a single player, but nobody was saying that when a first person shooter that had a multiplayer game creating a single player game, nobody was saying, oh, I don't know if they could do it. They did it, right?
No.
Big transition.
And that's why I'm saying it's different.
Who would have believed these ponies are out here actually arguing about all of these closures? Yes, they are finally getting it. They are getting an awakening unlike any other. Wonderful. But I mean, this one takes the cake. I mean, this pony went in on Sony, went in on some of his own pony brethren. I mean, listen to this guy as he destroys Sony.
Home stars. Oh, PlayStation, Naughty Dog can't be a games as a service studio. That'll squander their creativity and their manpower. Well, Naughty Dog is one of the biggest developers Sony got. So if it's gonna their manpower, what is gonna do to the other 11 smaller studios that are making games as a service games right now with less know-how and less creativity and less everything?
I mean, so far this guy is spitting facts. Would you believe it?
Y'all didn't think about that. Now, when they announced 12 games of service, I said, hey, like BG, I wouldn't mind 2 or 3 getting announced, but why y'all making 12 at once? Something that y'all have no intrinsic knowledge of. Oh, y'all purchased Bungie. They know all about games as a service. $2 billion. You spend however much you spent on employee retention, to keep the people that you hired for their knowledge, that you end up firing all of them anyway. So listen, only thing I can say is, man, I got some others. Let me see what else. y'all call me doom and gloom, right? I'm the big doom and gloom guy. I'm all negative, right? I don't know why I'm in the dark. This game dark. I'm the negative guy, right? But the other day, every time one of these PlayStation games that y'all was clamoring about, y'all was excited about rumors about these games, every time they get canceled, y'all say, great, I didn't want it anyway. You didn't want it anyway, but these the same games you was chopping my head off saying they're cooking. All the times you told me they was cooking and they was working on it, this is what they was working on. This shit canceled. So the shit didn't see it? They canceled that. Now you're happy? So wait a minute.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Wait a minute. I'm bugging for wanting to see a game. You telling me they working on it, it'll be great, don't worry, they know what they doing. We never gonna see these games and you still happy? Didn't a lot of y'all just go out and buy a $700 console iteration and we don't know no games coming to?
I beg your damn pardon.
Sony has canceled more games this generation than they have new IPs.
So there you have it. These ponies are going crazy. These ponies are going nuts. They are fed up of what Sony has done, of what the fans are doing, not purchasing their first party games. That is why they had to go that games as a service strategy. And it really shows what is the state of PlayStation at the moment. So let me hear what you thought about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.